So, here, nestled inside discussion about the sin cycle, is discussion about some negative communication styles. And that's because Scott and I have come to the conclusion that we're just going to call these negative communication styles what they are. They're sin. They are ways we have of communicating that perhaps are natural to us or our parents modeled them very well for us, but they get to be cyclical and we revert to them when we shouldn't, and they're very harmful to us and to others. And so let's identify what these three negative styles are. And I would love for you to be self-identifying and saying, this is the one I kind of gravitate toward, so that you can know how to move forward from that. The first one is passive communication. And passive communication is when you withhold part of who you are and you're not willing to put it out there, what you really think, what you really want. Now, sometimes we have really good intentions for passivity. Perhaps we don't want to rock the boat. We're afraid to hurt the people we're with, or to be too loud, outspoken, to be perceived as the person who is strong and maybe selfish about what they want. And so, well, I'm not going to say what I really think or what I really want because I don't want to come across wrong. Unfortunately, this is not a healthy form of communication, and it really doesn't bring you fully to the table. And so if you are struggling with passive communication, please consider how you are not bringing your full self to the relationship. And that's robbing your spouse really of who you are. Now, passive can seem so weak and docile, but actually passive communication is incredibly dominating. So it's actually a dominant style. If I'm trying to communicate with Scott and he shuts down and won't talk, that is making me feel helpless. And he's actually dominating me by his unwillingness to communicate honestly about what he thinks. Another dominating style that you don't want to do is aggressive communication. Aggressive is sort of bullying, and it can be very accusatory and blaming. So this might have the "you never do this" and "you always do that." And in this way, you are badgering and nagging at your spouse with your communication style. Now, aggressive doesn't have to mean violent. It doesn't mean that you're hitting them. It doesn't even mean that they're scared. It means that you're bullying them with the way you're talking and your choice of words. And it could, of course, include tone as well. So if you are finding yourself to be an aggressive communicator, you want to step back and be able to identify that so you can choose other routes. The last one, made so popular by sitcoms, is passive aggressive communication. And this is when sometimes you put forth a passive nature, like, oh, I don't care. You forfeit your rights to whatever it is that you're discussing. But then later, there comes to be a more nagging, accusatory way about it. Now, what's tricky about passive aggressive is sometimes you come back to that same issue. Say you didn't know where you wanted to go to eat, or you didn't want to say where you wanted to go to eat. So you said, I don't care, whatever. And then when you get to the restaurant, it's like, I can't believe you would pick this. You know that I don't like this. And yet other times it might come out in a completely different way. So you might be home, maybe even the next day or two, or a month or two, and they're jabbing at this helplessness they feel because you're not caring for them or thinking about them. And it's actually a pile up of different things. So passive aggressive can be like living with a yo-yo. It can be really difficult because they're going back and forth between these two styles. Now, I want you to identify what you are. You're probably already thinking a little bit what you think your spouse is. Let them say what they think they are when you have your discussion time versus jumping into what they are. And then the last style that you really want to do, we're actually going to make you wait for, but it's assertive communication and you want it. Trust me, you want it. So those are the negative styles. They are cyclical and they are sin, and we are hopeful that through this study you'll be able to change some of those habits and move forward to more positive ways of communicating.